What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Square Pegs. I'm Jay, and you might be wondering what this getup is all about, and I'll tell you, because today we are talking about 10 of the best masks in the history of video games. First, an honorable mention.
I'm kind of remiss to put these guys on here because they just drove me crazy when I played Breath of the Wild, but my wife pointed out, correctly so, that every Korok that you discover in Breath of the Wild is wearing a mask. So while they're not in the top 10, I do want to give them the honorable mention here because, I mean, at the very least, they're fun to drop rocks on, right? There are few games more iconic and more deserving of being mentioned in something involving masks than Splatterhouse. The terror mask attached itself to Rick when he lay dying and brought him back to life so he could fight monsters and kill the evil, creepy, crawly things in the mansion to save his girlfriend, Jennifer. Now, I haven't played a whole lot of Splatterhouse, I'm not going to lie to you. This is something that's fairly new to me in the grand scheme of things, but as someone who is starting to appreciate the TurboGrafx 16 a lot more now that I have different emulator devices that actually play the games, I'm kind of head over heels in love with this. Splatterhouse is a gory, fun game. This is the type of game that really would have been banned in my grandma's house when I was growing up, and I absolutely love it. This is a spectacular game, a wonderful mask, an iconic piece of video game history. The Terror Mask from Splatterhouse is a perfect way to begin this list. This is going to be a shorter entry because there's not really a lot to say about the character other than the spy from Team Fortress 2 is one of the coolest characters ever in video games. He's from somewhere in France, we don't really know where, and he always wears a signature balaclava over his face to protect his identity. Of course, he can steal anyone's identity on the opposing team as well. The spy is one of the coolest characters in the history of Team Fortress 2, and probably the character I am the worst at playing because he's really, really difficult for me to wrap my head around, but I just love the look of the character. And there's a lot of really fun cosmetics you can add to the character as well to kind of change his appearance. The spy is one of the best. I needed to have a Luchador on here, and there's none that I love more than Juan from Guacamelee. Now, at the start of the game, Juan is just a simple agave farmer. He is in love with El Presidente's daughter, and he goes to rescue her after she's kidnapped, but Juan is killed. But when he's brought back to life by Tostada, he is given the mask and becomes a Luchador. Juan is one of my favorite characters in games. Like, when Drinkbox released Guacamelee, I vividly remember when the game released because I was so excited to try it out. And it was something that just, I loved it then, I love it to this day. It's one of my favorite Metroidvanias ever released, and it's something that I think a lot more people should play because it's a really underrated game that I think a lot of people have overlooked. One of my favorite games, one of my favorite looks, and just how could you not have a Luchador mask on the list of most iconic masks in video games? Guacamelee is a great game, and Juan is an amazing character.
Okay, it all depends on your skill. Go for broke.
Ah, the narcissist, one of the best archetypes in story. And Vega is the personification of narcissism in Street Fighter. He's vain, he's overconfident, he is out to just protect his beauty and show that he is Vega. He always wears his mask, but it's never to hide who he is. He's proud of who he is. It's why he has these flashy looks and this incredible appearance at all times. It's to protect his beautiful face. He doesn't want to have his looks damaged. What a great concept to put in a fighting game. Someone who is so worried about his looks, someone who is so vain and so worried about his appearance that he wears a protective mask and will even clash with people that he's supposedly on the same side of, like Balrog, because of their inability to grasp why he would want to protect himself. Vega is a super cool character, a really fun character to play too. He's got some really neat moves, and yeah, I actually used the footage here from Street Fighter the movie because why not? I think it's hilarious. Vega is a great character, a fantastic villain, one of the best Shadowloo members in the Street Fighter mythos, and has one of the coolest looks in the history of video games. What better way for the leader of the Phantom Thieves to appear than as a gentleman thief? Joker wearing his fantastic thieves mask is such an iconic character and such a cool damn look. Now, everything in the Persona games just screams style. All the characters have a unique identity, a beautiful appearance, a fantastic design aesthetic, and Joker is probably the best of all of them. As the main protagonist of Persona 5, you are in Joker's shoes throughout the entirety of the game. He's the leader of the Phantom Thieves of Hearts, a group that aims to change society by touching the hearts of people, while also performing some illegal heists, of course. Joker is a thief, and he wears the mask of a thief and looks good doing it. With his signature look, his long flowing coat, his mask, and his amazing abilities and psychic powers from Persona, Joker is one of the most stylistically impressive characters on this list.
I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Too vast and trunkless."
Sometimes you just need a really good antagonist, and I don't think you're going to find much better than Handsome Jack. Now, say what you will about Borderlands 2. I know it's not a perfect game for a lot of people, but Handsome Jack was an excellent antagonist in the game, with amazing sarcastic delivery, a fantastic look, and just a super cool delivery that he was always in your head, always appearing holographically and talking to you throughout the game, and just getting under your skin as you play. Now, Jack had his mask attached to his face after the events of Borderlands, the pre-sequel, and yeah, he's a pretty hideously scarred individual, and you can see the vanity kind of eke through by having this fake mask on his face. Jack's a really great character, a fantastic antagonist, and just someone that you want to destroy through your adventures. One of my favorite villains in video games, a super cool looking character, and a great, great bad guy. There's just something about thieves that I love. Not only do we have Joker on here from Persona 5, we have Sly Cooper, one of the coolest characters. Now, Sly is a raccoon, so he's kind of always by default wearing a mask, but he does actually wear a separate cloth mask. You can actually see the tie on the back of his head. You can see the mask kind of dangling off the back of his head, and he just has such a cool look. Like, Sly is an awesome character. Everything in Sly is great. Like, stylistically, Sucker Punch just absolutely nailed it with everything in the Sly Cooper universe. This is one of my favorite games of all time, and one of the best platformers on the PlayStation 2. Sly has one of the coolest and sleekest looks on this entire list. With his signature thief style with dark colors that accentuate his normal raccoon appearance, Sly is just such a cool character with an amazing look, and I love his appearance. He had to be on this list for me. I think he's one of the coolest looking characters in video games.
Don't you get it, Sly?
Phantos were awesome, and they were kind of creepy. Like, when I was a kid, these guys creeped me out a little bit. Now, I won't spend a whole lot of time on them because they're just kind of an invincible enemy from Super Mario Bros. 2 or Doki Doki Panic that attack you when you steal their keys, and they're going to keep chasing you as long as you have their property, as long as you have their treasure. They're really awesome. And there's a bunch of them as well the further you get into the game. Like, in the back of Wart's room, in the end of the game, you can actually see a ton of them on the walls. It's a fantastic game, one of my favorites, and Phanto is just such a cool enemy, and something that's really kind of unique in the Mario Brothers mythos. Just a super cool character with a really, really awesome look.
Fight.
You know, it could have been either Scorpion or Sub-Zero if I'm going for someone from Mortal Kombat, but I mean, everyone knows Scorpion, everyone knows the "get over here." He's one of the most iconic video game characters of all time, and it's that awesome ninja look that first debuted in Mortal Kombat that makes him this signature incredible character. Now, one of the really cool things about Scorpion, of course, was his ability to remove that mask and have his skull head and breathe fire on you. We're just talking about the mask today, and that signature kind of ninja look that was there because of the digitized graphics, because of this kind of generic costume that was available for the actors to wear when they were performing the moves, and it's just become iconic. And Scorpion has continued to look amazing. He's looked cool in pretty much every iteration he's ever been in. He looks great in Mortal Kombat 11 now, and he will always be one of the coolest masked characters in the history of video games. Scorpion is a badass and just a fantastically cool masked character. The game is named after the item, and I don't think there's anything more iconic in video games than Majora's Mask. It's the main villain in the game of the same name. It's worn by Skull Kid. It has the ability to alter reality, and it's just one of the coolest designs that Nintendo's ever really come up with. Like, for me, I just love the look of it. It's also in a fantastic game, don't get me wrong. I actually think Majora's Mask is my favorite of the 2 N64 games that were released for Zelda. But Majora's Mask is just such a neat idea, and it did something so different with the Zelda series and really put its stamp on what the Zelda series could be, and I think it's something we still feel today in modern Zelda releases. But the mask itself is originally worn by Skull Kid, eventually going to the Happy Mask Salesman, and it's just such a neat item with such a cool look, and it absolutely is one of the most iconic masks in the history of gaming.
All right, my friends, there you have it. 10 of the best masks in the history of video games. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorites are. I would love to hear from you. Hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'd love to have you stick around. Until next time, I've been Jay. Remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. Talk to you soon.